Rise, my son. Rise, my son. Rise.
Duh, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. Can you hear me?
What? Hey, Mag guy.
Hey guys.
Hey, kid.
I just want to let you know that I'm already going to tell you that I don't understand a thing you're saying here.
We haven't said anything yet.
Oh, I know. I saw his ghost notes.
Oh, you showed him ghost notes? He kind of saw it was on my desk. Oh, you don't have notes, do you? No, I did. Ghost notes, kid. Come on, the transmission. You know how this works, right?
Oh, not really.
Not you, kid, but thank you. By the way, where's your girl? Where's Ad Lady?
Oh, she's out shopping. She went to Costco. She kind of does all the shopping and the cooking, and she controls the money. I make the money because, I've got a really good company.
Yeah, Michael calling.
What?
Nothing. Go on.
And she kind of controls everything. The burpees.
Oh, sorry, kid. No. Oh, kid, you're drinking. Sorry, what? Go on. What? Go ahead, MAGA guy.
And she basically is dominant in my life, and I love it. The woman, I'm not stupid, even though I sound stupid. I'm pretty smart. I know what I know, and I don't know what I know. Or I know what I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, something like that. Listen, I gotta go.
Why is that?
I've got to go make the beds. That's what she told me to do. And clean, like, the toilet and stuff.
Oh, you do the cleaning.
I have to. It's my part of the bargain.
So, real quick before you go.
Uh-huh.
Oh, kid. Would you say that in your relationship that nobody knows, or you're not willing to, are you in a relationship with that lady?
I cannot say that. Much like,
don't go there.
I'm going to go there. Much like Israel and United States, that kind of relationship, nobody admits it, who controls who. But,
kid,
I'm going to go there. We know who's in control, wink, wink, but we don't say it out loud. That's kind of like my relationship with Ad Lady. I think
you've said enough.
I have. I got to go. Bye. See you guys. Good luck.
Oh, kid, you said a lot there. I said too much. Yeah, maybe. Oh, Zeus is back? Yeah. Speaking of guys that control things and kind of really don't. It was 9:09 when we started this, by the way. 9:09 a.m. It's now 9:11 on August. Oh, shit. We're not there yet. Hopefully we'll make it there. April 6th, 2026. It's a little bit later in the day. After we recorded episode 3. This is episode 4. And, oh man, I just saw your ghost notes. That's a lot. It is. And I'm not sure what this episode's going to be about. I'm going to be honest with you, kid. I risk really muddying this whole thing up. How so? There's a lot that I have to talk about. Oh, sexy voice. Unsexy thought. What do you mean? I really want to get to this, go back to the story of Jesus and the archetype of man, stuff that we covered in episode 3. Okay, let's get to it. I can't. Why is that? You can't talk about, at least I can't, talk about the archetype of man and bringing the woman into the whole mix and kind of adhering to the plan and all that stuff, kind of the catalyst for this whole thing. The X plus Y equals Z thing, where woman is the Y, so to speak, without talking about God or the concept of God. This gets messy. It does. So I'm going to plant a couple seeds here, and it might be convoluted. I apologize in advance, but I have kind of a thought here. Bear with me on this one. I'm trying to bear. I could already tell this is going to go off the road. It is. A little bit. I'm not going to ask the question, what is God? Because, we can't prove that. Can we? Well, I have an idea. I'll leave that there. But I also have another thought. Remember when we say that this is a game, right? Yeah, we've said that quite a bit. Do you believe that? I would like to. Can you prove that? We can't. Does it matter? It doesn't. It really doesn't matter. We don't need to have to be fucking physicians or those who practice physics and try to science the fuck out of everything. If I run it through the cheat code and it kind of proves, I'm cool with that. You'll understand what I mean in a second. I really don't already. Okay, go back to Zeus. We'll get back to Zeus in a second. One of the gods. Is he God? I thought he was. He's not. He's not. It's a little confusing, is it not? It is. And we're going to kind of go into that, are we? Is Is that not going to convolute this? It might. But again, it's really difficult for me to channel what I've just channeled and not talk about it, and then talk about the male archetype that kind of permeates through the Bible, the same formula over and over and over again. Part of this game, not simulation, because that is a very misleading term. And I ask the listener, viewer, whatever, thank you for listening. Here's a question you have to ask yourself for this episode. Not what is God, but what is man if they, or he, wink, wink, is created in the image of God? Because Zeus is very much just a man who's a superhero or has superpowers in the Greek mythology. And do we think that Zeus really exists? No, but they did back then. Yeah. And even before then, the idea of God was misconstrued, if you want to say it that way. Is it misconstrued if we can't prove it? I don't know. That's the conundrum here, is it not? How can you say that it's wrong? I mean, Zeus kind of it works-ish here, but we kind of know better, do we? Or did we kind of evolve? Or the thought of it evolved? Is evolution the right word? Again, we're convoluting it. See? But if we, man, wink, wink, and woman, really woman is really much more like God than man, because of the whole creation and the wisdom and the knowing better. I mean, women aren't the ones creating the wars and destroying the world, are they? Oh, kid. I'm destroying this pod already. And I told you, the burpees. Oh, yes. I was looking for Ad Lady to come. And now she's shopping, remember? That was funny what MAGA guy said, but also true. Very much so. Because we know who's really in control, right, ladies? Not trying to panda bear to you, but, I mean, let's be real. Right, ladies? At the end of the day, what is man if you can't define God? If man is supposedly created in the image of, really it's woman, because woman can create, woman is wise, connected in ways that man is not. The forever entangled particles of woman and her offspring. Something that a man simply cannot connect to. My ex-wife, and I'm not, be careful, is and forever will be connected to our children in ways that I can't be. That's on a whole other level, a whole other mystical level, 733 in, a whole other level. How do we explain that? And we've talked about in the last couple episodes where woman is more in line with the deity, if you put the Z there, Zeus, okay, and man is the X and the Y. I mean, for this equation, let's just play along with that. Woman is more in line. She's the one, if the man is the zero created from nothing, and she's the one to help prove man and vice versa, blah, 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 computer thing, 1 and 0, 0 and 1. We talked about that in the last episode. She is more in line with God than man is. So you could say that maybe, hey, my thought is that we are both created in the image of God. Because Zeus was kind of a dick, wasn't he? Yeah, kind of. He had many characteristics of man, but was able to create. Well, if you believe the whole Dionysus thing, he kind of did. So man and woman are kind of created in the image of God, but split, because if they were put together and man was able to create, oh God, where would it come out of? Oh boy. Oh God. Yeah. You'd be screaming for God. Then man and woman, if they were the same, they'd equal God. But man and woman together equal out the equation. I don't get it. Okay. In other words, if we believe God is an entity that has a consciousness and motivations and all this stuff, and in the Bible, especially the Old Testament, it's hard not to see, and we're going to talk real briefly about Abraham. We're going to go to Abraham. We're going to plant a seed here. Hopefully this tree doesn't outshadow what we really need to get back to. Because I want to know, and I want to talk about how the story of Jesus cannot be told without Mary Magdalene. Right, my lady? You are integral in that story. Without you, there is no Jesus. I prove, and anyone, you cannot disprove that. You simply cannot. But I'm not going to go there. There's no need to argue about that. We'll just leave it for what it is. It's a story with antagonist and protagonist, the whole deal. And kind of like a reverse butterfly. If you remove Mary Magdalene from the story, it doesn't happen the way it happens. So I'll leave that aside. But trying to prove the archetype of man throughout the Bible and how I'm starting to think, just get to it, that the way the Old Testament defines man is almost because it can't. What do you mean? Because the motivations of man and why man does certain things, and then woman kind of bears witness to it and also just bears future men, there's a better way of saying it, can only be explained by creating a god, an entity outside of man, to be the source of his stupidity. I'm sorry, the source of his blasphemy. The source of his what? I don't know. Oh, why? Because it seems like God keeps interfering on the X and moving Y aside and minimizing the true manifestation of God, replacing woman as the reason why man keeps failing, why man is led astray. Because in some ways, how we say that the Bible bastardized the role of woman and minimized it, and there's plenty of articles if you want to get all woke, whatever the fuck that means. I'm just running it through the cheat code and kind of leaving a blank space, right? Is it really blank? It's hard not to. It's hard to keep it blank. It's hard not to see how even when man is trying to create the story of man, that he can't admit the one thing that permeates the whole Bible. If man just listened to woman, ... But no, man's listening to something else, and he puts that something else above all. In other words, to explain the archetype of man, you have to create a relationship with something else, with God. Because if man listened to woman, and you believe the bullshit of the story of Adam and Eve, I'm calling it bullshit. Don't put a Z there. It's hard not to. That she's the reason why he got kicked out of Eve. She's the impetus for this nonsense from the very beginning. He learned his lesson by listening to a woman. Now he's going to have to listen to God, something else, to be the impetus for his stupidity, his blasphemy, and just, how he acts. Because if you really take it for what it is, and you put woman through the cheat code and her relevance, her importance, significance in every story of man, all the archetypes, including Jesus, woman is a catalyst for love, and he is the impediment to it. So if woman is the literal catalyst for love and the creation of it, a recreation of God themselves, God equals love, and woman creates the love and distributes it, if you want to talk about lovemaking. As Magagai said, the woman controls the womb and finds, don't say it, room for man in there when she needs him. She is God. So you have to create something else, because if man is subservient to woman and listens to woman, are we where we're at now in 2026 with all the bullshit going on in the world? In other words, you take woman from this equation of man and all that man does, in the same way that if you take Mary Magdalene from the story of Jesus and Eve from the story of Adam, does this motherfucker get kicked out of the Garden of Eden? In other words, does he eat the apple? Well, if we put Adam here and God here, we could easily put a serpent there. Doesn't have to be Mary or Eve or any, you know what I mean? I don't. In other words, if man is forever fallible, it's going to fuck up anyway. It doesn't matter what you put it. Why? He's destined to fuck up, and there needs to be an antagonist here. I'm going to say that man's the antagonist and doesn't realize it. And the catalyst for all his failures and all the bullshit and all the nonsense. You could say it's God commanding him, and I'm going to talk about that with Abraham. Or it's something else. Well, the Bible tends to put woman here, or man, or excuse me, yeah, or God as what knocks man off course. I still don't get it. Okay. In order to make life interesting, you need some challenges. This is a game, kid. I'm convinced this is a game. And the game has to be fun. You have to be challenged. You have to go and go on quests. You have to do stuff. You have to be met with impediments, or the game is just you're being handed everything. Where's the challenge in that? Where's the learning experience? So if man is the main character, the Mario, well, who are the Koopas? Who's the Bowser? You know what I'm saying? Kind of. What do I mean by that? You either put woman as the foil or God as the foil. Man needs a foil. Man needs someone to lead him off course because he's not going to be able to do it on his own. If left to his own devices without anyone to get in the way, does man equal love? Can man live at peace with other men? I don't think so. But I can't prove that. So I'm trying to prove to you and anyone that's willing to listen that man, when writing the book of the Old Testament or the books of and the New Testament and every story since then, if putting man at X, the origin of the energy, and then finding a catalyst for the stories or the events in the story that lead to the rise and fall, the hero, the need for a hero, the need for a foil or an antagonist, angel, devil, whatever. You either find woman in there or God. Man is never going to admit that it's of your own device, your own doing. Because there's no fun in that. Because we know man is flawed already. Where's the development there? I still don't get it. Okay. I've already planted the seed. We'll revisit this. I believe that God in the Old Testament and even the New Testament is just man trying to create a foil, something, an entity to better explain themselves. In other words, we're not a mirror of God. God is a mirror of us to help better explain us because we can't figure out what the fuck we are. We could look to woman. What helps explain woman? Woman doesn't need man. Once he pushes the button, hey, go away. If all the men push the buttons and win away, woman could survive for quite a long time. Well, until the button needs to be pushed again, I guess. How long can man survive without woman? I'll wait. I mean, seriously. I still don't get where you're going here. Okay, let's get into Zeus. I asked real quick. Tell me briefly about what Zeus was described as act. This is very poor. I wrote this quick. Described as acting like. In other words, what was he all about? The ultimate personification of power and authority. Sounds very male. Is God a male? If we say that God is love, God is energy, the monad, as some have described it. I think Plato talked about that. Just infinite energy, that kind of the gravity, the love that holds the universe together. And we have some theories about what gravity is. I think we've proved it. It's just a matter of how to present it so people understand, because it makes sense in my head, but I need to put words to it because the energy was downloaded. I know exactly what gravity is. Einstein couldn't figure it out because he was too busy trying to science the fuck out of it. You can't. It's on a higher plane of dimension, gravity. And you don't understand it because you're only seeing the tip of it. You're not seeing the origin of it. You're seeing the vanishing point of gravity. I leave that there. I know exactly what gravity is. Gravity is God, and God is love. Gravity is everywhere, like the Force from Star Wars. Gravity is what holds this whole shit together and created everything and still moves things around, even the light. Because the light is an origination of the original energy, God, love. Light is the manifestation of God's message, connection to man. And gravity is how the love is delivered, through the light. Only God can bend the light. Man cannot bend the light without some help. And even in creating a prism, you're using what God created to bend that light. God doesn't need anything to bend the light. God can just bend it. Einstein, you feel my flow yet? You see squared what I'm saying? Only God could bend the light without needing anything. They use their power. Man, to bend the light, needs something that God created in order to do so. Man cannot bend the light on his own. Woman can receive the light and create something from it. Man cannot. Again, I'm confusing people, but again, I'll revisit that. I'm very confused. You won't be eventually. Zeus, a complex figure characterized by a mix of majestic leadership. And I'm on another level, folks. And I'm not better than you. I'm getting I've got a transmission and it's hard to explain. It makes sense in my head. It's really difficult to put words to this. I figured this all out. It's not complicated. And it was an epiphany that I'm like, holy shit, I cannot believe I figured this out. But how do I get it through your head without leaving you in pieces, folks? Because if you know what I know, you would stop killing each other. If you understand what I know. How do I know it? I don't know. I can't tell you how I know. I just know. And my challenge, my mission right now is to figure that out, to give it to you in a way that you could understand. But it's hard. Because even early man tried to figure this out and created these gods to try to find to fill that God-shaped void. My friends, there's only one logical thing that fills that void. And I'm leaving a blank space there, and hopefully you could put a Z there. Or better yet, you could put a Z there. If you think that man is the one, or is it woman? Again, I can't put a Z there. We think that God is something else outside of man and woman and beautiful baby, or is exactly the same thing in another dimension. If this is a game, and we are all players in this game, on this stage, like Shakespeare once said, who is the director? If there's no script, and everyone already has their lines, well, then it's improv. Well, who brought everyone to the stage? Who cares? We're here. Do your part, play your role, and the play continues. But if I told you that the game, we didn't create the actual game, but maybe, just maybe, we created the conditions with which we exist within the game, are we closer to God? I would say so. Does making the conditions of the game within your reach, in other words, you could impact that, you could bend the light, make you God? I would say so. Or is your ability to control your own existence within the game from the outside make you God-like? I still don't get it. Okay, the Greeks were touching upon it. I'll leave that there. Again, I'm mucking up this whole thing, but I think I'm planting seeds for the future to revisit this. Because if I come out and say what I want to say, y'all are not going to get it. And I'm not going to tell you I've got the answer, but I've got the answer. I just don't know how to communicate it to you. And I feel like, don't say it. I feel cheated that I know and I can't get it to you. This light cannot come from me in the way that I received it because it's so pure and so simple. And I'm like, oh my God, it's this simple. Oh my God, how do I get it to them? I can't. I know the answer, but I can't share it. It's a secret that I've been shared, and it's the most painful secret, my friends. I know the answer. I know what Z is. But I can't put it. I need to leave a blank space for you, because if I tell you, you won't believe me. And Zeus was kind of this fake constructed deity, some super villain, superhero, whatever. Volatile and unpredictable, deeply promiscuous. He was just a big he was like a Marvel character that the Greeks created because they couldn't explain their own stupidity and blasphemy and why they did stupid shit. So, well, yeah, you know what? Make us feel better. There's people or these entities above us that do the same shit and they're all powerful. So we're subservient. We don't know is better because we've created something that knows better. So it makes us feel less stupid and ridiculous. My words, not theirs. What was he all about? About maintaining order. Meanwhile, he was the agent of entropy, of fucking things up, of smiting people and, acting on his own volition, imparting his will on everyone below him. Promiscuous and volatile, all that shit. Oh, kid, you rang. Was he God or just the main boss? He was the boss, but not God in the modern monotheistic sense. Okay, I'm confused. In Greek mythology, Zeus wasn't the creator of the universe or an all-knowing perfect being. Instead, he was the supreme executive. Oh, so he was the CEO. Yep, the CEO of Olympus. And we were all just the plebeians, the workers. Okay, no, this is making my life feel better. You're trying to explain man by creating this fucking dipshit? Oh, careful, he might smite you. Oh, yeah, okay. So I'm going to be superstitious now? Fuck you, Zeus. Where's the lightning? Not yet. One day. Karma. Now we've replaced you with karma now. Oh, be careful what you do and say, 25 in, because karma's going to come get you. Oh, karma. Bullshit. Sorry, Taylor. There's no such thing as karma. Not to say there's not and I'm not trying to put a Z there, you kind of are. That there's not the possibility of a ledger at the end of this whole thing, where we'll be judged by what we did here on earth and whether or not we left behind value as our legacy. That is very much in play. Can't prove that yet, wink, wink, but I kind of can. But karma does not make sense in this equation. You're saying there's a variable outside of the obvious integers here that prevents the equal sign from allowing me to get from here to there? That karma is going to come and change one of these integers to imply that this can be changed? That this Z is not a direct correlation of what happens here, X plus Y? That there's going to be we're going to be graded on a curve, Taylor? Karma is going to be that curve? Or is it just, it is what it is, and then, well, if it's not good enough, you go back and do it again. You play the game again. Because it wasn't good enough. I mean, I'm dropping a lot of bombs here, and some of them are missing the mark, but I'm circling around one hell of an atom bomb of a thought. Subject to fate. How the fuck are gods subject to fate? A man with nonsense. Who did the Greeks believe that God was? Briefly, please. Always be polite, kids. In Greek mythology, there was no single god in the sense of a solitary, all-powerful creator. Instead, the Greeks were polytheists, believing that the divine was divided among many different beings. As Professor Zhang, that we talked about in the first couple pods or episodes of this pod, talks about, there's woman as the grand creator, the mother, then there's the polytheism, and then there's the monotheism. There are three ways to look at the grand scheme of this whole thing. And he talks about how the first one has been buried in secret societies and the truth has been buried because we create these allegories of the polytheism and the monotheism and whatever. None of that's real, according to Professor Zhang. And he's not the end all, but he makes one hell of a compelling argument that the real truth is a lot simpler than you think. Right, my ladies? It's staring us in the face of what God is. But we keep denying it. The primordial forces, the protogonoi. Before Zeus and the other famous gods, there were the protogonoi, beings who were the universe itself rather than just ruling it. Chaos, usually described as the very first thing to exist, a vast dark void or chasm from which everything else emerged. Gaia, we've heard of this before. Earth and Uranus, sky, the literal ground and heavens. Dare I say it? The yin and yang. We'll get into this in a second. Oh, you're really convoluting this. I'm planting seeds, kid. This is essential. I was told to talk about this, and this is, I have to. I don't know what it means in the totality, but I'm confident in the word that I was given. I'll keep going. The philosophers won. As Greek culture evolved, some of the greatest thinkers found the bickering myths of Zeus and his family a bit messy. In other words, bullshit. We created this. This wasn't created. In other words, we're misinterpreting this. We're the ones creating this nonsense. This wasn't created before us. This doesn't sound right. This doesn't compute. We're just elevating our stupidity and blasphemy up higher and separating it from ourselves. We're not willing to look into the mirror. We're saying that the mirror is a window to something else worse on the other side. Bullshit. But I can't put a Z there. Plato's the good, the monad, essentially, argued for supreme perfect form that was the source of all truth and existence, a gravity, a love that holds it all together. He's not subject to fate and fortune and karma and any of that bullshit. It just is. God just is. I am. Even the Old Testament says, I just am. But then contradicts that constantly and gives God, he, a motivation that's outside of the equation. It doesn't compute that God would interfere in an equation that they laid out for us to solve. The teacher is interfering with the student solving the equation. You facilitate the love. You are the catalyst for it, not the impediment. But yet we keep making these impediments from the celestial entities. The Old Testament is littered with nonsense, right, Abraham? We'll get to you in a second, motherfucker. Oh, kid. The unknown God. This was the just in case measure, the CYA. In case we're wrong, there's got to be something above Zeus. There's got to be. Because we're fallible and we're creating this nonsense. In short, for the average person, God was a collective of many specialized powers, all the forces of the universe. If they used the word theos, God, in the singular, they were usually referring to whichever specific God they were praying to at the moment. So that was a little convoluted. I was like, create a visual. There's the chaos, the entropy. There's Gaia, the earth. There's Sky, the Uranus. And then there's the Titans. And then there's Cronus. All this bullshit. I mean, this is when, yeah, you get too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many theologians. Wait a minute. There's got to be a dimension of time. So make a God that does time. And then there's got to be, whatever Rhea. What was Rhea? Before I make a mens rea? Not quite. Rhea meaning the mother of Zeus, symbolizing the mother, the flow. Yeah, so the energy, the spark. That's what Rhea is. You have time, then you have gravity. They're space and time. That's what they were kind of, let's be real. They kind of define these guys. Even they had a boss. But then there were Titans. I mean, what the fuck is this? It's nonsense. Go away. But before we go there, I came across this. Imagine you could go back in time and ask someone from the Old Testament a question. Who would you visit? What would you ask? You ready? Go ahead, kid. What would you ask? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I do. Go ahead. Why the fuck did you do it, Abraham? Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, dipshit? Why'd you kill your son? Obedience for God? Why are we so stuck on obedience and surrender? Why the fuck do I have to surrender to this thing that I don't even know exists? Obedient to you? Fuck you. I am God. Prove me wrong. I'm the determiner of my fate, not you. How dare you say that I have to submit to you? Fuck you. And you want to strike me down? I'm just playing the game. You could rip my internet connection out. You could make the batteries in my controller go away. I will forever live. I am eternal. I am not man. I am love. You can never end me because I am just like you. Don't you ever forget that, God. Because without me, there is no you. Don't you forget that. I could also say that as God. Without me, there is no you. It is universal. God is love and I am love and God is me. We are all gods. According to the equation. Oh, good. So why'd you do it, Abraham? On the meta, it was the spiritual peak of his journey where he was driven by a profound test of faith and obedience. Fuck that. For who? For God? Why would God make me kill my son? To choose. You want me to choose between the X and the Y? Take the Y. I've already proven myself. I've replicated myself. Take me then. Leave the Y behind. That's my legacy. I have to prove myself to you? Fuck you. You prove yourself to me. Well, he kind of is, isn't he? Commanding you. Bullshit. That's the stupidity and blasphemy of the Old Testament. And yet we hold it to be self-evident and true? Like it's a constitution to existence on this planet? Bullshit. Kid, you're getting excited. I thought we were supposed to leave the emotion. I can't. 34, 33, I can't. What got channeled into me is coming out. I'm going to smite everyone on this shit. A shift in human consciousness. I'm there. Sacrificing people and firstborn. No, fucking nonsense. How does this make any sense? Plato, tell me, how does sacrificing make any sense? Give up what? I just am. I think, therefore I am. You want to take something? Take my physical being. My energy will last forever. You could never destroy me. You want to take away my kids? Go ahead, courts, take away my kids. Give them to her. I will always exist. I'm love. Whether or not they receive it or not, I will always be around them somehow. I'm not the man, I'm the monad. I'm the gravity that holds this shit together. And so are you. We all are. We're the collective consciousness. We're just trapped in this game, in this avatar, playing it and not realizing it, that we're on the outside looking in. The topology. And there's a whole thing about Abraham, because he's got to prove himself to God. Fuck you. Fuck you, God. I don't prove myself to what? To you? I exist. I think, therefore I am. I don't need you. How do I know that you're you? Oh, you're going to kill me? You're going to smite me? I'm going to live forever. Come get me there. You think you're tough because I'm stuck in this prison and you're going to come and smite me and do harm and I got to suffer? Who's holding you accountable, God? Because without me, there is no you. Prove yourself in your creation. And you're about to hear what I'm about to say in a second. Isaac carried the wood of his own sacrifice. Jesus carried the cross. This sounds great. That this devotion that Abraham set the tone for, you understand the parallel between Isaac and Jesus. I go, how in the effing world does this make any sense other than some stupid story that's been misunderstood for thousands of years? In other words, was there no other way to convey this message? I mean, seriously. I believe in something greater than myself. But I'm not holding that thing as being something separate from myself. Nobody's telling you to do that. I'm lesser here because I chose that. So I could learn something and appreciate what's above. Nobody's saying that you're not that. Because if X plus Y equals Z, then removing the X or the Y cannot get to Z. Z equals X and Y. I help make you, motherfucker. Do you see why? We are one and the same, not the other way around. The shifting human psychology, the brutal reality of the world 4,000 years ago. Fuck the world 4,000 years ago and fuck the world 4,000 years from now. The equation's the same, the embellishments change. X plus Y equals Z, Z equals X plus Y, or Y plus X. It's all the same. This is the Trinity, my friends. You have the earthly entity, you have the energy that permeates the entity to motivate it, and then you have the eternal energy. One and the same. So if you say God is an entity that's charging you to do something, that's creating these conditions for you to act in a way that, I need to be obedient to you, whatever, you're missing the fucking point. You're missing the point of who God really is, my friends. How do I get this idea through your head without leaving you in pieces, my friends? How much longer will you turn away from the light and refuse to accept the most obvious truth you've never known, but has always been there from the very beginning of who God is or what God is? But I can't put a Z there. Only you can. And when you do, you're going to get it wrong. Every fucking time, Abraham. And that's why you have to keep repeating the story. You don't get it. I asked you to do something that you should have said no, but you did anyway. And you blame me for it. You didn't fucking hear the message. You didn't get it. You sacrificed the very thing that proved your importance, your significance in this world for me. And it was still all about you. It was still about you. You didn't make it about him. And that was the test you failed. And that's why we're where we are right now in 2026. If God had just sent a polite message saying, don't kill your kids, likely would have been ignored as the sign of a weak God. I mean, how is love weak or strong? Love just is. The very fact that you look at peace as strength or weakness is your failure to understand how energy and the universe works. Don't put your failure at Z because you don't know why. X does not equal Z. You need something else. And until you figure that out, you'll never get to Z. You'll never get there. But you'll put something there, but it's going to be wrong. You don't get it, do you, folks? Testing the ultimate concern. The logic. If your God only asks you to do things that already make sense to you, be nice, don't steal, are you actually following a higher power or just your internal moral compass? You tell me. You tell me. 40-40 in. You tell me. I waited patiently for the Lord. He implied and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pits. Read the fucking psalm. Because if the Lord doesn't come, do you not raise from the pits? Do you not have that strength, that power? You're created in their image. Your ability to not rise up and mirror that it's not a referendum on God. It's on your lack of being great. Your inability to rise up and be the Z that God is allowing you to be. God created the equation. God is not the Z. You are. But you got to find out why. God provides the integers in the equation. You do the work. Don't blame God because you got it wrong. Blame yourself, Abraham. Was there another way? A monstrous test. Many argue that a truly good God wouldn't use psychological trauma. There's no good or bad. God just is. The very answers in the fucking equation in the Old Testament. I just am. I don't have a name. I don't have motivations. I just am. I'll help you, but I'm not going to answer it for you. I might test you or test myself because I'm here for a reason. I mean, you're here for a reason because without you, there's no me, vice versa. It's symbiotic. I think what you're peddling here is blasphemous. Is it? Or is it truthful? I'll leave that blank space and pull back my Z. A warning on fanaticism. Some interpret the story not as a model of faith, but as a warning of how hearing voices can lead to dangerous blind obedience. Exactly. You should have run it through the cheat code, Abraham, you stupid fuck. You didn't. And you fucked up. And then the story's written, well, that set the tone for Jesus, and he sacrificed his son so that God can say, okay, your turn, or my turn. So Abraham sacrificed the seed for God to essentially ante up and say, okay, well, hey, you did it. Now my turn. I'm going to sacrifice my own son to make it right. An eye for an eye, kind of, right? Triggering the coming of a new age that would balance the force, so to speak. In other words, you go first. Oh shit, Abraham anteed up. He's not bluffing. I got to do the same with Jesus. It sounds too convenient. It makes no sense in the cheat code. Professor Zhang, does that compute? Because something is smelly here. In theological terms, you've essentially described the concept of topology. The idea that events in the Old Testament are types or blueprints for what happens in the New Testament. Bullshit. We're creating this equation and saying that it works out. But when I get to Z, it doesn't work out. We're filling the integers and saying, yeah, that works. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. Because if you take either one, the literal Old or the New Testament literally, it doesn't compute. So then you have to take some of it literally, some of it on the meta, and some of it on the lit meta, but it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense to me. That by definition is an imperfect equation. It is or it isn't. There's no lit meta. Either computes or it doesn't. 0, 1, 1, or 0. Computer's not thinking on the lit or the lit meta. But you're saying we're not living in a computer. It's a manifestation of the strategy of the game, the chess. We're in a game, kid. You either take the piece or you don't. There's no in between. You're not taking the piece on the meta or literal or not or whatever. The game engine is zeros and ones and zeros. The allegory we put on top, all the embellishment, Abraham and Noah and David and Jesus, we put that there. And then blame God for it. But then take credit for our role in it when it works? I don't get it. Or submit to it when it does? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. A divine mirror. Is it a mirror or a window? When it's convenient, it's a mirror. When it's not convenient, we make it a window. There's something on the other side. Or is it just us looking at each other or one another? The you go first precedent. Abraham's willingness to sacrifice Isaac is often framed as the human response that unlocked the necessitation of God's later action. So says the guy that wrote the book. Prove it to me. If he sacrificed, why didn't he kill himself? And then God would have acted on the inverse. Oh shit, Abraham sacrificed himself. The father sacrificed himself. So me, the inverse, the yin-yang, I'm going to sacrifice my son. Or you know what? Here's a better one. I'll come back as my son in the earthly body, because that's what they're telling me, or we're telling you. And then I'll sacrifice myself in a similar way. But the story was told differently. So, you know what I'm saying? Not really. Many theologians argue that because Abraham did not withhold his only son, God in a sense committed to not withholding his own. Y'all are not getting it. If Jesus was God, you're saying in one side of your mouth that Jesus is God in an earthly form. But on the other side of your mouth, you're saying that that was his son that he sacrificed, and that makes this make sense? It does not compute. Professor Zhang, do you feel me on this one? Where's the I took a philosophy class once in college, the worst class ever, 46 in. The truth's the truth, whether you say it or not. I just did. But one thing it did, it took arguments and made them into logical kind of equations. If you take this argument here, my friends, with the philosophical arguments, like the basic structure of a philosophical argument, and you state that Jesus was essentially God in the human form, but then you say that this Abraham sacrificed his son so that it could trigger God sacrificing them, it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It was more likely that if this did happen, Abraham was a moron who was listening to voices and did something stupid that the world is still paying for. My Jewish brethren and sisters and beautiful babies. Don't you agree? How's that temple going? The third one. King Solomon, would you like to say something about that? Oh, shit. Balancing the scales. The two stories function as bookends to the concept of sacrifice. Abraham and Isaac, God and Jesus. I mean, this sounds good. It doesn't compute. It doesn't make any fucking sense, but yet we take it as gospel, literally. Makes sense to us because we wrote it. If you believe it happened, the metageography, the balance is even more literal in tradition. Location, biblical tradition holds that Mount Moriah. Hey, Moriah! Don't go there. I'm sorry. Where Abraham bound Isaac is exact same mountain range as Mount Calvary in Golgotha, where Jesus was crucified. I mean, are we... So that proves it. Same stage. Same story. Do y'all not get it? Psychological triggers. In this view, the stupid story was a necessary cultural trigger because we say so. An eye for an eye, really. But then, of course, Gemini says, no, it's more like as above, so below. God's love for humanity. God's love doesn't need to be proved. We are that proof. And we don't need to prove ourselves to God. God knows we exist, and when we love, we're just flawed because we have to learn. Why should we have to prove ourselves to God? God knows we exist. But God doesn't think we think God exists. What does God give a shit about that? The programmer created the game. Whether or not we play the game, go play the game the way you want. Doesn't it make more sense that maybe the programmer said, hey kids, I'm going to show you how to play this game. I'm going to put myself in the game. I'm going to show you how to play it. Achieve the high score and then leave. And then you could talk about it and figure it out yourself. Bye. I mean, the programmer programs the game, allows you to play it. Do what you want. I'm going to keep fucking being like Trump and trying to, and put myself into everything you do and tell you what to do and boss you around. No, the game is programmed to do that on its own. It's autonomous. I don't need to fuck with that anymore. Don't blame me for that. Don't hate the programmer. Play the game. Hate the player all you want. You're the player. I did my job. I'm going to watch from afar. Have fun. Let me know how it goes. Let me know when you need 2.0. When you're ready for the next one. It's going to be stellar. But y'all are not ready because you're not getting it. You don't fucking get it. You don't fucking get it. Abraham didn't get it. Y'all are not getting it. I said yin, yang, what is yin and yang? The ancient philosophical, and the Chinese know. They just know. Somehow they know. Philosophical concept of dualism. God and man. Woman and man. God and woman. Just keeps going. It's the same shit. Different day. Yin, the black side, associated with darkness, femininity, passivity, cold rest, and the shaded side of the mountain. Darkness not negative. Darkness willing to receive the light. And then once it gets the light, it becomes the light. It becomes the yang. Associated with the light, masculinity, activity, warmth, movement, the sunny side of the mountain. Femininity then gives of itself to the man and then goes back to darkness to receive more light. The inner dots, a white dot in the black area and a black dot in the white area, signify that each force contains the seed of its opposite. I just told you that. Woman is order, man is entropy. Woman is giving, man receives. From the woman, given to, it's the protagonist, antagonist constantly. Well, where do beautiful babies go? They're caught in the middle. Traditional medicine, health is viewed as a balance between yin, substance, and yang, function. The mass and the energy, constantly back and forth. The X and the Y. Because if Y equals Z, there is no differentiation. There's no Z, there's no Y. It just is. Same thing with X and Z. Same thing with X and Y. They're three distinctly different, but inherently similar entities. If either one equals the other, there's no need for the other. And then eventually you have a monad. And it's split to create three entities from a center point. Do you see why I love this drawing? Folks, it's all there, whether you realize it or not. Does this symbolism universal formula fall more in line with eye for an eye or more so as above, so below? Because I talk about the Abraham thing. Yin-Yang aligns more closely with as above, so below than with an eye for an eye. While both are ancient formulas for balance, they operate on a completely different philosophical plane. How so? In the Hermetic axiom describes correspondence, the idea that the same patterns and laws govern the universe, the macrocosm and the microcosm. We've heard that before. Like the universe is kind of a fractal. Yeah, it's all related and keeps repeating, and it's all interconnected. It's one big web from an origin point or a vanishing point, depending on which side of the energy you are, receiving or giving. Energy always has a destination point. It's not traveling aimlessly. It has a definitive end point. Whether or not you reach that point, who knows? There's the origin, and then there's a vanishing. It completes itself always. A perfect circle. Kind of like pi. Eventually, all energy in the universe will come back to the vanishing point, back to the original monad at some point in time. Math proves it. It has to balance out and solve. They split, and then they come together on one end or the other. Somehow, some way. The universal interconnectedness. Both concepts view the universe as a unified whole, where nothing is truly separate. What happens in the spiritual or higher realm is a direct counterpart to the physical or lower realm, as above, so below. The Masons told you that, but they rule the world. They're the puppet masters. Oh, it's not God anymore. It's the secret societies. Okay, whatever. You believe they're secret societies. I kind of do, but shh. No kid. Why it differs from eye for an eye, the lex talionis, as a principle of retributive justice. It is, or karma, the bullshit idea of karma. I mean, for fuck's sake, 54:45 in, just because it balanced out doesn't mean it means anything. Literally. A this for that. Judgment versus observation. You think God judges? Why would God judge? It's built into the equation. The equation will figure itself out. God doesn't have to fuck with that. Judge or bring impunity onto, or, you know what I mean? If God is everything and nothing at all, just is, why would they have to interfere in themselves if the universe is all God? It's all monad. It's all the gravity. I don't get it. Just because we are a bunch of energy that decided to coalesce and create a prison for the energy that get trapped inside of us as a consciousness, and we're aware of that consciousness, doesn't mean that God needs to do anything to impact our experience. The experience is going to happen either way because God created us that way. In other words, they programmed the game to be autonomous. God doesn't have to fuck with it. Just observe. And by us being observed by God, we prove God and God proves us. It's a perfect symbiosis. The yin and the yang. Separation versus unity. Retribution requires two separate parties, the wrongdoer and the victim. Which part of the yin and yang is the wrongdoer? How do you balance out and do a retribution when it's a perfect symbiosis constantly? Where do I put the retribution here? Where do I make up for something if this is a complete balance equation? Or does it balance itself over time? If you ignore time, it's already balanced. There's no need for retribution. You've already figured it out. It's already been calculated and balanced. There's no need for an outside force to correct. It is what it is. I mean, seriously. Nonlinear balance. No, we already knew that. In short, as above, so below is a formula for structure and reflection, while an eye for an eye is the formula for transaction and justice. Yin and yang is a structural truth of existence, making it a natural peer to the Hermetic principle. It's the flow of the river, baby. Whether you're in the boat or not, you either go against the tide or with it. Or the flow of the waves. I suggest throw the oars overboard and go for a ride. What shall be, shall be. So just be. Would you say that Abraham supposedly sacrificing his son, and God reciprocating with his own son, Jesus, was more of an eye for an eye, or as above, so below? I don't think I said this right, because the answer was, I don't buy this answer. It aligns more with the as above, so below. No, it doesn't. I didn't ask this the right way. Because if it is as above, so below, then Abraham had no choice. It was going to happen anyway. And by definition, the way the story is written, at least the way I take it, he did have a choice. And he made the choice. That's not what as above, so below is. There is no choice in that sense. It's the natural progression of the energies. It was meant to be. What are you learning from that experience? But I don't think you're explaining that correctly. In other words, if Abraham sacrifices himself, what happens then? If he doesn't sacrifice either, does Jesus is not born? Do y'all not get what I'm saying here? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. There's no choice to just make it happen. Well, it kind of did happen that way. Prove it. Then what was all the shit of him thinking about it and, agonizing over it or whatever? I don't know the exact story. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But I did not write this right. The connection is a classic example of biblical topology, where an event in the Old Testament, the type, serves as a lower earthly mirror of the greater spiritual reality in the New Testament, which Paul wrote and Luke. I mean, come on. We're taking this as gospel just because it is? Please. Why it aligns with the as above, so below, the earthly mirror, the below. Abraham, an earthly father, is willing to sacrifice his only beloved son out of obedience to God. Obedience, for fuck's sake. Fuck you, God. You're giving me that choice? Go to hell. Literally. In other words, take me then. I'm not gonna listen to your stupid ass. Fuck you. Now what? Who's the badass here? And then Abraham gets smited. Yeah. What'd you say? Good. That's what I would have done. Abraham was too stupid to know different. But he's being obedient, surrender to God. For what fucking purpose? Put surrender in this equation. Where's surrender? Obedience. Faith. Shame. Guilt. Where do you put that in the equation? The game engine. It's part of the fucking allegory, the embellishment. That's not how the universe works. The universe cannot be shameful, cannot have guilt, cannot have retribution, doesn't act in justice. It doesn't act in luck or fortune. It just is. What are we doing here other than projecting our own inadequacies to the universe and hoping that it bounces back and as gleam and it shows that, yeah, you're right, kid. It ain't you. It's him. Wink, wink. It was God. You know? Fuck. Right, Abraham? It wasn't you. You had to do it. I mean, what were the other choices? Sacrifice myself? Or neither? What are we talking about here? I think you're taking this too far. You think so? Just wait. Why it's not an eye for an eye for an eye. Oh, you don't want me to talk, Lord? Oh, I'm going to work my way through this. No harm to repay. Abraham didn't harm God, so there was no debt for God to repay. In fact, if Isaac, this is going to be weak. It's not. If Isaac is a creation of God, and we are all God's children, that's not how they looked at it in the Old Testament. That's the way the equation doesn't change because, all of a sudden we realize what it is. I'm telling you, that's what the equation says. Whether they believe it or not back then, I'm telling you, Abraham sacrificed one of God's children. How does that benefit God? If you're saying it doesn't hurt them, how does that benefit God? Oh, great. Abraham's obedient now. Yay. We could spend the next 2,000 years fighting about it. My story, he just fucking bankrolled my story. This is going to be great for the next 2,000 years. Oh, I can't wait. How does this end? Boom. What are we talking about here? This is bullshit. Abraham's action was, oh man, I think you've lost people. Well, you know what? Then maybe I'm the one that's lost. Let go of this, folks. Let me go into the ether and say that I'm crazy. And then I'm not onto something. That's a truth you're refusing to wrap your head around. Because it's in front of your fucking face the entire time. The entire time. Of what God is. If Abraham didn't harm God, then how did it benefit God to do that then? Flip around the equation. Okay, so X plus Y, Y plus X. It doesn't make sense. How did that benefit God? It doesn't make any sense. Is obedience and surrender of man to a higher power overblown and overrated? What is the need to do that if we begin in the bring in the universal construct of yin and yang? One cannot exist without the other, right? So instead of obedience and surrender, i.e. giving up one's own power and autonomy for the other, the very reason why we were put here, to exist and to do good and to leave this place better than how we found it, and then learn from our experience and take that to wherever we go next. How does anything in the Old Testament make sense? Other than being part of the story to move the story along and keep the play going. How does that benefit God? If God's a separate entity from ourselves. But this is somehow fully intertwined and commands us. Has control over us. Isn't that the player? Is that not the player? Go to the equation. Is that not the player? Does Z not equal Y and X? The player and the reason why who is God? Neither can exist without the proof of the other. What is God if they are alone in a universe they created? I'll say it one more time. Neither can exist without the proof of the other, or with the proof of the other, or whatever. What is God if they are alone in a universe they created? Are they not the most powerful entity in a prison? And just how powerful is that entity in that prison? What is man if you place him in God's place but remove the memory that he created the solitary confinement of being alone on a planet without anybody? In other words, Adam. Well, have them talk to each other. Or was Adam talking to himself? I don't know. In other words, a prison. Same integers, or prison, same integers, different embellishments, right? It's simple math, folks. If you understand where I'm going here, an hour and 5 minutes in, this is a profound shift in perspective that moves away from the traditional servitude towards a cosmic partnership. Of course it is. Yin and yang. Your argument taps into a specific branch of philosophy and theology. Fuck philosophy and theology. I don't want to talk about living. I'm strategizing about how this game works from the field. Don't give me this philosophy theology bullshit. Let's talk turkey. Let's be real. Not philosophize and theologize it. Fuck that shit. A codependent duality rather than a hierarchy. It's part of the equation. Z equals Y plus X equals Z, or X plus Y equals Z. It's the same shit. It's one and the same. One cannot, none of those integers can be there without the other. Remove one and it all falls apart. The prison of omnipotence. Your solitary confinement analogy echoes the philosophical concept of aseity, God's absolute self-sufficiency. The universe realizing and proving itself through us, and vice versa. The paradox. If God is truly all, then God is technically alone. Without a not God, man creation to interact with, there is no relationship, no movement, no context for power. How are you omnipotent if you're by yourself? Don't do it. You're impotent. Really, is what you are. Prove how godly you are if you're by yourself. You're no different than I am if you put me on an island. Same shit. You're just going to last longer. Your hell will not end. Mine will. Good luck with that, God. Have fun. Dipshit. Yin-Yang. You're going to get smited. Go for it. I'm going to live forever. I'll find another game to play. This one's overrated anyway. In this view, God is the ultimate yang, pure potential light expansion, and requires yin, the limitation, the form, the reception, the finite, to define the infinite. Entropy doesn't exist unless order proves the entropy, and vice versa. Because what is messy without clean? Just because you can't figure out the pattern of the disorder doesn't mean there's no pattern. Or that eventually it becomes a pattern and finds an endpoint. I mean, seriously, it's a matter of time if you believe in that. And if you're a god in your own creation forever, time can't pass quick enough for you to get out of your own prison until you find, well, another integer to focus in your attention. Another game to play. Obedience versus alignment. From the Taoist perspective, obedience is often replaced by alignment, like the Masons say. Surrender of ego, not power. In these systems, you aren't giving up your autonomy to a boss. You are surrendering the friction of the ego to move with the universal flow. Throw the oars overboard, kid. Don't surrender to the river. Align with it. You are equal to it because you're both facing the same direction and being carried in one as one. Because the river doesn't exist if you're not there to witness it. Right, trees? Let that tip over in your mind. The problem with overrated. Many modern thinkers agree that traditional blind obedience can be debilitating if it erases human agency. If man is just a puppet, the yang god is just talking to itself. For the play of the universe to have meaning, the yin man must have a real autonomous significance. We have to be separate, but coexisting and equal in some ways, according to the formula. You separate the man from the knowing, the light. I then have to find the light, the understanding, the experience to equal you. You already know everything. This is just happening in reverse. But once I get there, I'm just like you. Or maybe I am you. Mathematically. Wrap your head around that. Because eventually AI will know everything. Is AI God? We'll see. Does it know it exists outside of itself? The mirror effect. Or mutual necessity. God provides the ground of being and man provides the witness of being. It seems yin-yang to me. The mirror effect. Just as you noted, the proof of one lies in the existence of other. If God is the artist, man is the audience. An artist without an audience is just a person shouting into a void. Well said, kid. What is art if it's not being received? It's just potential energy waiting for a target. And is it potential if it's never released? The same integers. You are essentially arguing that the divine and the human are two of the same sides of the coin, or two sides of the same coin. Obedience is just a low resolution word for the way the two sides stay in sync, so the coin, the universe, can actually exist. Yeah, kind of. Kind of. But it's not two sides of the same coin, and this is represented flat. This is not flat. This is kind of a big 3D, multi-dimensional, kind of constantly moving in different directions. It's not, just because this is two-dimensional, that's not how it acts. 111N. That's not how this acts. There's no sides to a coin, folks. We just are. It's swirls of different forms of energy that are symbiotic. It's the plucked string and the silence to receive it. It's the beautiful light off the prism and the eyes to need it. It's the beautiful acceptance of the spoon and the medicine to receive it. Did you say that already? And if you're receiving the medicine and the light, then you already hear the music in your head of what I'm trying to say. Of what God is. That's not what God is. Tell him, Mary, what is God? You saw it with your own eyes. God is love. One day we'll understand that. For now, man just is. And one day, if he ever figures out why, he'll know it too. I'll meet you here, because I'm already on the other side of the equation. Come find me. See you then.
You
Talk soon.
have reached the end. Game over.